Hello? Is this recording? Yes, yes it is. Hi YouTube, this is Matt Pullen. I am going to do a second live sparring with jrobi. People seem to like this format the last time, so we're trying it again. I know some of my followers might have been disappointed by the result of the game, but that's okay. Uh, it's a friendly match. But I'm going to try and you know maintain my honor with white pieces. I'm using headphones, which feels really weird. I usually don't use headphones when I'm at home. I feel like I'm swimming or something. Um, hmm. So without further ado, gotta go over here. And we are ready to start. Let's just verify that I can. Yep, we are playing. And, oh, that was the other one. Okay. So I'm gonna go e4, and we'll see what jrobi comes up with. Sicilian, we'll go closed. All right, d6. So I guess he wants to stay in Najdorf territory, or he wants to play a dragon without allowing me to play bishop b5. I haven't quite made up my mind what I want to do here. Like f4 is a logical choice because it would take black one move longer to play pawn to d5. Also the bishop b5 check, bishop c4, g3. These are all different ideas. See, trying to decide if I want to go theoretical or I don't know whether jrobi plays the Najdorf or the dragon, to be honest. Let's see, I'm thinking about just playing knight f3 and d4 and going back into a main line. Yeah, let's do that. I'm not quite sure what he wanted. All right, so maybe this is going to be a Najdorf after all. So knight f6 would be a Najdorf, but he is playing something different. Knight c6. I could take on c6, I guess, and then play bishop d3 and try and angle for a position where a6 is a waste of a move. But it does sort of strengthen black's center, though. I guess that would be the one critical test of the the move order that black has with a6 and knight c6. See, if I trade, and then do I want to play bishop d3 or bishop c4 to try and... I'm not going to be able to cut down on his d5 move for very long, I think, so... Or maybe trade and queen f3. I could just play bishop e2. Yeah, this is a little... I'll trade and bishop d3. Just develop the pieces, castle will play very simply. Let's not overthink this. So one idea black might have is to play rook b8 to try and tie my bishop down to b2. If I fianchetto with b3, bishop b2, it leaves me kind of weak on the dark squares. So that might be Might be all right. Sometimes when black is playing rook b8 and white is playing b3, black can then continue with rook to b4 and come into the center this way, but that seems far off in the current position. All right, so knight f6. I want to play on bishop f g5, threatening to double. He'll probably just play e6 or e5. Let's see, other moves. I could play f4, or I could just castle. If f4, maybe queen b6, and then it becomes difficult for me to castle. So I'll play castles first. So I think I'm all right here. Black has more pawns in the center, but you know he's this tempo with a6. Black is a little bit slow with his development. All right, so he might have considered playing pawn to e5 because his d5 square is covered. But no, he's played with a small center, pawn to e6. So do I want to play like g4, g5, try and kick that knight away? Probably inconsistent with me putting my king over here. Do I want to play queen f3 with the idea of swinging the queen over here? Do I want to play f4 with the idea of bringing the queen behind the f-pawn? An idea for the future is to play b3, bishop b2. What is he going to do? If he didn't play e5, he probably wants to play d5. And when he does that, what will I do? Probably push e5. I think I'm gonna play f4. Then maybe king h1 to avoid any checks on b6. Is a useful waiting move, often connected with white playing f4. Spectators? Nope. So, am I going to want to try and play with e5 or try and play with f5? That's what I'm thinking about. All right, 7. So one idea here is to play with queen f3, sort of covers my center squares and brings the queen to the f-file, and then trying to play f5. Or I could just play g4 with the idea of playing g5 to kick that piece away. And if g4, if he plays e5, then I can advance with f5. But I wonder if I want to play king h1 before I do that stuff. You know, just to wait to see, you know, maybe, is he going to castle kingside? Is he not going to castle kingside? I don't know yet. So let's just wait a move with king h1 to see what he is going to do. If he castles kingside, I'll seriously consider g4. And he did. Well, an alternative to g4 would be to play b3 first to get my bishop on this diagonal, but I think, see, I could also play queen f3 first. Queen f3, queen h3, and only then g4, g5. G4, if he plays d5, I want to play e5. G4, if he plays e5, I want to play f5. He could play h6, and then I don't really want to play h4. So, one idea, g4, he could play g5. It looks very provocative, but you know, if f takes g, then he's coming knight d7, knight e5, and using the e5 square. It's kind of a really high-level idea, sacrificing a pawn in front of your king like that just to undermine white's support of the e5 square. g4, g5, it's not. g5, h6. Try and think about what happens if he plays h6 there. Maybe I just play queen f3 and keep building up. Yeah, I think this move needs to be played. Let's strike while the iron is hot, so to speak. With h6, maybe just pull the rook over here, and then try and force through g5. I do have to worry about him getting the bishop on the long diagonal, like bishop c8 to b7, and then this somehow opening up to my king. But currently, I think I have sufficient control over the center that I can keep it closed. So all of my pieces are in pretty good positions now. Even this bishop on c1, because when I play f5, the bishop then becomes active. So I may not even need to play b3 and bishop b2, unless the structure radically changes in the next few moves. Also, if he is played like d5 and c5, I might need to move pawn to b3 simply to protect my bishop on d3, so he can't push pawn to c4 and kick me off of this diagonal. I played in a quad tournament earlier today, and I won my quad with 3 wins and no draws or losses. So I was the second seed in my quad. So I ended up playing 2 games with black pieces and 1 game with white pieces. And my game with the white pieces was against the weakest player. So this is a very, very challenging day of chess, and I did pretty well. So I guess you could consider this my 4th round. I only got white pieces once, so I get a 4th round against jrobi at the end of the day. Again, if he plays d5 in almost any of these positions, I'm responding with e5. Maybe a good plan for him might be to play pawn to c5 and then bishop to b7. Try and get some counterplay on the long diagonal, especially since I have to respect black's threat of c5, c4. So that probably forces me to spend the tempo on b3 just to prevent that. I mean, my next move, if it were my move right now, I might consider g5. But, there's no real obvious follow-up. Like g5, knight e8, queen h5, just plays g6. So I'm going to have to be a little patient here. All right, so he is getting on the long diagonal here, so see, queen f3, queen f3 just puts more pieces on the diagonal that he's trying to open. Maybe I could just play g5 here, and then he'll probably play back knight d7 or knight e8. And then queen h5, and then maybe a real quick rook f3, rook h3. See, what can he do about that? g5, knight d7, knight e8. Alright, g5, knight moves, queen h5. If he plays g6, I can go queen h6. It's really hard for him to guard h7, isn't it? I don't want to play e5 because then he plays c5 check and everything goes to heck. All right, I think I'm just gonna kick him there and then queen h5 and then lift my rook up to h3 and well, I'll have to see if he has anything meaningful against this plan. H5. Of course, if he could push his f pawn and then use his rook. Like he could play g6 and then queen h6, f5, and then rook f7 to defend his. But I mean, if he plays g6, maybe I'll go back to the long diagonal after all. Again, I'm really selling out on the light squares, so I hope that diagonal doesn't open up for his bishop on b7. All right. G6, gaining a tempo and allowing him to defend his 7th rank is the obvious move. G6. G6, I think I want to go. If G6, if I play queen h4, then he can play pawn h5. And I can't take it en passant because my queen would be hanging. So I have to play queen h6 if I want to maintain my attack. All right, g6, queen h6, f5. All right. This is kind of forced. Okay, he's gonna come to h5 and sort of try and cut off any rook from coming to. All right, so rook f3. He could play knight h5, and then if I have to sacrifice an exchange to break through. I can try and play. I can play with the bishop to e2 first, or I can play rook f3, knight h5, rook h3, and then bring the bishop back. Or I kind of like the idea of trying to get my bishop there, but that might be too slow. I mean, he might be trying to play f6 and, crack open the f file. Rook f3, f6, rook h3, knight h5. See, another option is for me to sacrifice an exchange for his knight when it comes to h5. So rook f3 is the move I'm looking at. Let's just go with that. Another thing I have to be careful about is he might play and trap my queen with rook e8 and bishop f8. All right, so here he actually is trying to open up the. So if I play rook h3, he has to play knight h5. Then I can take on h5, then take on f6, and then the g file is opening. But can I get there fast enough? Oh, I'm under 5 minutes. I have to try and play more blitz-like chess. So here, and I'm probably going to take on h5. Because I think bishop e2 is too slow. Bishop e2, I think he plays... oh, this is... I did not expect him to do this. Wow. Wow. Could I just take that h7? Rook h8 would just be a trade. But maybe he wants a trade. I mean, it does win a pawn for me. Takes. Then I... Then he just moves his queen. He's threatening rook h8, but... Maybe I could get an attack on g6. Yeah, let's go for this. So if he plays queen b6 or something here, with the idea of rook h8, I could take on f6, and then maybe play f5. That's my thought process here. All right, this is just I have to go in for this, and this is a trade. And here, I think do I take on f6 here, or do I let him take on g5? All right. Another very close game here. I'm going to take, I think that pawn on g5 would have been too weak. Then bishop d2, and then bring the rook over. That is my thought here. Bishop g2. Bishop d2 to cover the knight, and then swing the rook around. So he's, I don't know, jrobi, he plays pretty solid. I've been having a hard time breaking through here. Just trying to keep him off of f2. I don't know why. So I need to get my king. I need to get my king to a more relevant square. See, how could he be... h2 is an obvious target for him. How does he get at that square, though? Maybe g5? No, because I take with check. Knight h5, does that do anything for him? It threatens knight g3, but I can just play king g2. Meanwhile, what is my idea? I can play... knight d1 followed by c3 to get that bishop out of there, then bring my knight into the position via e3. I don't know what that does. Oh, he moved his king, so I'll move my king. And then I want to continue with this knight d1 idea, but I... Oh, no, my e4 pawn. He's going to play pawn c4 and try and get my e4 pawn. And I can't play king f3, that's hanging. Do I have to play rook e1 here? Can I play b3 to stop him from... b3... Yes, that looks reasonable. So I had to stop that idea. Let's see. Which way do I want to bring the knight around? Do I want to bring it around via d1 or via e2? d1 c3. e2 gains a tempo, and I can play it to g1 and f3, and then maybe look at g5 square. So maybe that's the future for this knight, coming to g1 and then back out to f3. I would certainly like for him to take on c3, because then my bishop would come to this diagonal, and he's got hanging pieces. but he's probably not going to do that. He could play d5. All right, d5. Let's kick this guy. This knight matches up with his knight move. They're attacking the same squares. I'm attacking his bishop. Do I want to play bishop c3? Is that a desirable exchange? Or do I just want to continue with my knight f3 idea? I have to decide really quick. 5. Maybe play c4, because he might be planning to play d5 to try and crack open. Shoot. No. c5, then he would play d5 anyway. All right. I have to try and get going with this plan. Knight g1, knight f3, knight g5. So this diagonal is very, potentially could be a big deal. Like he's probably looking to play d5. Currently, I think I can meet it with e5. Maybe I want to play rook e1 here. Or c4. Yeah, I think c4 becomes a must. I have to try and contest that d5 square. Knight g5, perhaps? Or just bring the bishop to the diagonal. No, I want to play knight g5. Where would this be made? I have to take this way. Alright, so now I have 2 bishops. But that pawn is hanging. It's quite annoying. Well, let's protect the pawn first. It seems like a good order of business. Let's see. Alright, what's he threatening? His knight is threatening nothing. I have under a minute, don't I? How am I going to get my light square bishop into the game? Like this, maybe. Okay, so finally I have won the game. Microphone. Hey.
Hey Matt, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Thanks. Oh, Beatrix.
Yeah, that was good. I was trying to capitalize on my time at the end there.
Yeah.
And I was just, but yeah, when the pawn started to come down there, I tried to get the knight back in time, but it was too late.
Yeah, that was very solid there. I thought that I would be able to break through in the middle game and try and get some kind of a maybe attack down the H file, but you sort of bailed out there and allowed me to win a pawn, but then it wasn't so clear because you always had that bishop on b7, and there are ideas for you to play like for d5 and then c5, c4.
Yeah.
And it becomes very troublesome for me because of my king there. So I thought that was a good. You have some people talking to you in the game window.
Oh, do I?
This guy is from British Columbia.
Oh, nice.
Nelson.
So I'm gonna flip to move probably. Yeah, probably. Let me see here. I move 10 when I cast this.
Yeah, your opening choice is a little. I couldn't figure out if you were going for a Najdorf or not. Like when you played when you took out d4 and I took back with knight. You
move that.
on move 5.
Oh, back early.
Yeah, knight f6 is just a Najdorf. Knight c6 took me a little bit by surprise, and I figured that I can, maybe try and mark a6 as a loss of time by trading and just playing, very simple plan.
I've actually been playing that line there quite a bit, and I found that it's solid. Like, I mean, it doesn't allow for a lot of tactical shots, but it's definitely passive. Like, you gain a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we get to move 11,
Mm-hmm.
You've got a tremendous amount of space on my side.
Yeah, I was able to play. So I played g4, and then you played bishop b7. I played g5, knight e8. So here I wasn't quite sure. I mean, you certainly have chances because of the long diagonal. You can try and play for stuff like d5 and c5, c4. I was wondering if I should, feed shadow my dark square bishop here, or go ahead with the h-file plan.
I was wondering the same thing, and then I was kind of trying to capitalize on the fact that your king was quite a bit open.
Yeah.
So I was really debating between bishop to b7 and bishop to d7. But I figured, I had the long diagonal to your king there. So
yeah, bishop d7 is not, I don't know, that takes away a square that your knight might need.
Yeah, it really closes it down. Like, you're pretty much tied in as much as you can get. And then I thought I might be able to capitalize on queen to b6 at some point too, so I'd have those nice two long diagonals, right? So.
Yeah, queen b6 was a move that could have come in at various points. I guess.
I think I handled your h attack though pretty good.
Yeah, you played g6, which I thought you would, and here I thought you were going to do something like f5 with the idea of rook f7.
Yeah. And
try and defend that way. You instead went for this plan where you tried to plug up the h-file with the knight.
Yeah, I wanted to. I thought worst case scenario, she sits on h5 there, and you'll have to reroute the light square bishop a little bit to get it out of there, and I should have time to get out of dodge before then.
Yeah. So here, after you played f6, this is move. All right, so 16 rook h3. I thought that you might play knight h5 here.
Oh yeah.
And here, I was contemplating sacking the exchange, like rook takes h5, and then g takes, and then perhaps something like bishop e3 with the idea of getting the other rook to g1.
Yeah, that would have opened me wide up because, your bishops are beautifully just carving right down towards my position. Your knight's ready to pounce in. Although I did like how my pawns, even towards the end game, I felt that they really did their job at, keeping your pieces back.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna put pawns on the other color. Like you put your pawns on dark squares. I thought you were gonna put them on light squares and try and break it open more for your light square bishop.
Yeah.
All right, so you played king f7, and I thought that was curious, but it did make sense in the end. So I took here.
Yeah.
And here I thought maybe you could play queen b6 here, with the idea of rook h8, and now it makes me give up the queen for two rooks.
Yeah.
But my two rooks are very poorly coordinated, and your queen on b6 might be able to come to f2 and do something.
You know, that's interesting. I didn't really consider that. I think I was just happy to get out of this position with a pawn loss.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes. I'm gonna have to take a look at that again.
I think if you had played Queen B6 here, I would have tried F5.
Yeah, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, this is already a very critical position where white is going for broke, pretty much. And
Yeah.
here, I don't know. I was somewhat happy with this, although I realized that you would have you have a lot of long-term play here, because your rook on H8 and your bishop on B7 are very well coordinated.
Yeah, and I wanted to keep that pawn of yours on E4 as long as possible, so I was trying to position the play to do that, so I wouldn't have to worry too much about the light square. Let's see here.
All right, so I traded on F6, and then Bishop D2. Bishop D. What is Bishop D4 doing?
Which move are you on there?
I am on move 21.
I jumped ahead. Okay, what is Bishop what doing?
Yeah, Bishop D4. What is the Bishop on D4 doing here?
Oh, yeah.
I thought maybe there was a better
so why did I move my bishop there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I was thinking was I wanted to keep the bishops pointing towards your king position, and I wanted to somehow get the rook involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't you just brought your rook up to F1, so I had to get the king off of that file, and you offered up the knight trade here coming up shortly there on move 25.
Yeah.
For the dark square bishop, so I pulled it back, and yeah, it wasn't the greatest play with that bishop. Sure. What do you think would have been better around 21?
21?
Yeah. Instead of bishop to D4.
C5. C5 sort of suggests itself. Because you are threatening maybe to play C4, because if I take it with bishop, you can take on C3 and then take on E4.
Oh yeah, okay.
So C5, I think I have to play B3, and that's very similar to the game, but you don't lose a bunch of time with your dark square bishop.
Yeah.
So what if C5, B3, D5? What happens there?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because if I play E5, then it sort of gives your knight the F5 square.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would seems more forceful and purposeful than.
Yeah, and then I could probably reconnect that pawn maybe in the future, the G6 pawn, if you ever take the knight. If it's perfect.
Yeah, I probably have to take the knight, because otherwise. If I just leave the knight sitting on F5, then I'm trying to protect my king from your rook coming down to like H4 and G. They're like knight forks and stuff. All right, so what happened here? So my idea when I played the knight to E2 was to bring it back to, well, I guess you saw in the game I played the knight back to G1 and F3. I was also considering playing the knight to D1 and then played C3 to kick your bishop. But I think what happened in the game was better.
I tried not to trade it right away. And then here I got some wasted moves. Like I think that.
Yeah. Well, I think all this stuff was like under 2 minutes, so it's hard to critique these moves too much.
Yeah.
But
I think taking the rook off there was good. My position, it's still solid. I think.
Yeah, you played E5. I guess. I mean, it makes one of my bishops bad. I guess that's okay. But I mean, I do have. I don't know. Like, if you just sit on this position, how am I supposed to advance my pawns?
Yeah.
That's you moved your knight around and got in. Your knight got in this hole on D4 where it didn't really do anything, and then I just started pushing.
Yeah. It looked good on D4, but that's about it. Then I tried to get the light square bishop into the game here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when I play h5, instead of taking right away, I think maybe you check first. Check first on c8. Oh no! Ooh, that's actually very good. If you check first on c8, I can't play king h4 because then knight f3 check is picking up my bishop.
Right. Yeah.
So wow, yeah, I kind of messed that up. Bishop check. So I would have to go to g3, and then you could just take on h5, and I think it's white who has some troubles there.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow, that was that could have been bad. But yeah, this, and then it's just a matter of me getting my light square bishop somehow into the position.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good game. You played some very solid chess there.
Yeah, that was good, man, and that was a beautiful mate at the end for sure. And at the end of the game, we were down to how much time? Does it say?
I had 47 seconds, and you had like a minute 32.
Well, that's still a lot of time. I was probably we were moving a little too fast there, but no,
Yeah.
that was good. All right,
Yeah, I played a lot of chess today, so.
Yeah, you won a bunch of over-the-board games. He was in a tournament today, right?
I played 86 move game.
And you won them all.
Yeah, I did.
Which is good. So, all right, Matt. That sounds like that's about the end of the video. So, guys, make sure to thumbs up, comment if you want to see more of these. And so now we're one apiece.
Yep.
And the next one will be the tiebreaker.
Yep. These are pretty good games. So what's going to happen in the third game? I don't know. You decide. Wait, no, you don't decide. That's
our job.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And I hope there's I'm using earbuds on my PC, which feels really weird. It feels like I'm swimming or something.
Yeah, and it should take care of the echo problems.
Yep. So you should have better sound when we do these videos in the future.
All right. Take care.
All right. Have a good one, YouTube.